Okay, hello, people. Hello, people. Good evening, Uncle Oladiran. How are you, sir? Good evening, everybody. How are we today? Hello, Uncle Kosivi. A cheesy chat. Good evening, ma. Olusoji, good evening, ma. Bonsoir, Uncle Omar. Welcome, people. Welcome. How was it today? I was work, I was school, I was market, I was business, I was what could be. I was sleep today. Yeah. Uncle Vic, I'm fine. Thank you. The class is pretty few today. Vos allez bien. Hey, voila. How do I respond? Allez bien. Yeah. Uncle Kosivi, bonsoir. Allez bien. I hope I've not said something myself now. Why not work? Very fine. Okay. Good to know. Uh, yeah, it was good. It was good. Today was stressful. Sorry, Jama. Are you in Lagos? Whenever someone says anything stressful, I think of Lagos for them. That's the only stressful place in this country. Okay, should be Jove Bien. Okay. Sorry, I did French last in JSS1. At that time, sef, no be say I know am, I just Jove Bien. Thank you. Thanks for teaching me. Maybe I should enroll in a French class. Maybe. Peter, what's yes? Daddy Peter. I see. At least two more trial of what? Trial of what? Good evening, ma. Auntie Marvelous. Good evening. Good evening, Pascal. How are you? You are 8 minutes late. What are you paying? You cannot be outside my gate. You don't even know my gate. You can't know my gate, self. You don't even know if there is gate. Criminal cases. Auntie, are you a lawyer? This is your first class. Okay. You started your home from the end. Then you start walking back. Welcome. Are we just starting Abi we are finished? The two both of them. You work in Lagos but live in Ibadan. Oh, Uncle Peter. That's nice. You need to just gather the funds in Lagos. Go and spend it in Ibadan. That's how you enjoy life. Is it possible to know my gates? It's not. It's not. It's actually not possible. That's why we're doing virtual. Auntie Agama, waiting is up. Yeah, I know if you know my address. That one not possible. Whatever address here I give you, now here I get you go land. You just find yourself for BI. BI na here I get. Good evening, Isaac. Good evening. All right, so welcome to today's class, everybody. Today is the my boss is good. It's good. It's good. Today is the last class for the Excel bit. It's been 4 weeks. Yeah, nothing too serious tonight. We're having fun. If this were to be physical, everyone would have their carabaos before them, normal. And then you make a choice of whether you want pap or you want kono, or you want bread for the tush guys, or you want what else? Gary, and you select the kind of Gary you want. Yeah. Good evening, those of us that are just coming in. I don't want to call us what we normally would call people, but welcome, welcome. Hey, Achizi Chats, Coco, Naso. All right, so it's been 4 weeks of learning. Now, tush guys, they chop bread now. Those of us that are from the village, we know they chop bread with akara. You know they flow well. You know get. So it's been 4 weeks already. 3 sessions every week. We've gone quite a bit. Your MacBook is probably so. What version of Excel are you using on the MacBook? Are you using M365? If you're using M365, you won't have an issue. If you're using a standalone product, you may have to see if you can install a more recent version. So that's the option. Yeah. Isaiah, that's the game. That's the game. You got it. You got it. So we started our classes from the very basic, and we've been able to cover a few advanced concepts, which I'm hoping that you all would go on to build on. For those of you that will be interested, because one thing about classes like this is people join classes like this for different reasons. For some people, it's a path that they want to tread, which means they want to pursue a career in this. For some, they are currently doing something that needs these tools, so that's why they are here to just upskill a bit. And for some, they just want to observe. Maybe it's even something that will interest them. Regardless of the reason why you joined the class, I'm hoping that you probably have had a good time. You probably have had a good use of your time with us. It's not a waste. You didn't regret joining the bootcamp. I remember that's the first class that we had. There were probably some thousands of people online in the first class. But see now, this is the 12th class, and we're struggling to have 150 on the live call. So it's normal. Me personally, I'm not about numbers. The goal is to, if we're starting with 1,000, the goal is to have a few people, even if it's just five, that eventually would make that would have something to show for it, if you understand what I mean. So that would be the success for us. So it's not about how many, but really about what the success is at the end of the day. So I'm hoping that those of you that stay true, I'm hoping that those of you that you've sacrificed, because I understand that this comes with a lot of sacrifices. So this week I've been in Lagos this week. The last 3 weeks I was in Ibadan all through. So it was not that much of a stress for me. But this week it's a whole lot of different dimension. So I can imagine those of you that you've been in Lagos, you you'll be returning from the office and you have to join this class and you still try to participate. It's a lot of effort from you. I give you 5 condos. So you share the 5 condos amongst yourself. So it's been an interesting ride with everybody. Thank you so much for staying through. It's one thing for us as an institute. You can't see me in Lagos. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I'm traveling. Okay, how do I see Lagos? How do I see Lagos? Lagos is not for me. I leave it to you. I leave it to you. Just enjoy what you think you are enjoying. So I I want to appreciate you for the effort. It's one thing for us as an institute to want to bring a program like this to the people. It's another thing for the program to receive the needed reception, the acceptance from people. You guys who registered, you might think you did not pay for it. You might think you did not do us any favor. You did. You've spent your time. You spent. Maybe someone might have been somewhere chilling with, maybe watching a football match or doing something. So, but again, you've had to put all of those aside to attend these classes. Thank you to every one of you. You actually do have a choice, and even if you think that you want to develop yourself, it's not a mandatory thing for you to come do it with us. If you understand what I mean, you could have gone elsewhere. You could have decided that you want to go a different route, which is which is fine. But again, you found us worthy. You found us to be from those that you want to relate to or you want to relate with. Thank you for expending your time with us. Thank you for being our participants. You are not students, you are participants. All right, so enough of the things. Today, like I mentioned to you yesterday, it's supposed to be a day for questions. It's supposed to be a day for clarifications. We're not doing anything serious today. When I mean serious, we're not coding today. I only just put this on my screen so that at least you can see something. So you're not seeing a blank screen. That's the only reason why this is up. So you're not going to see anything else aside from what you see on the screen currently. So that's all you're going to see. And I'm hoping that I'm able to clarify as much as possible from your concerns. I also know that a couple of persons have shared they've shared some questions with me on LinkedIn. For some reasons, I've not been able to respond. It's been a bit hectic for me because I've had to go into quite a number of things. I have quite a number of things on my plate. So I saw some of the questions. Not that I didn't see them. I saw them, but I need to gather my thought. I need to put my thoughts together to be able to respond properly. So and questions like that, I don't, especially if it has to do with me typing. I don't do it in a rush. So if you were to be in a class like this, I'm hoping to. It's just for me to talk. So talking is not a problem. That used to be an award I was getting consistently in primary school. So every single term after the class teacher's comment will be talkative, talkative, and I think it's paying off now because it looks like I'm making money while talking now. All right. So if you're in the four wall of the classroom, you will make a great and awesome teacher. I don't want. Yeah. Well, I taught quite a bit. So I started teaching when I was in SS2. I taught tutorials. Then I started teaching for money in I think that would be 2013, 20 maybe 2012 or 2013. I started teaching for money at the time. I was just paid 5K anyways. 5K. So, but I've had to teach at, think about it. I've taught in primary school, taught in secondary school. I taught in the university, not as a lecturer per se, but tutorials. And at the point I was a school administrator actually. So my dad was a teacher also. So it's more like I've had a taste of what teaching looks like across different levels. Maybe in some ways it's one of the skills I learned unconsciously, passively, and yeah, it's paying off. So that's where we are. Thanks for acknowledging that. All right, let me take our questions now, people. Let me take our questions, but I don't want to teach actually. I don't want to be a lecturer. I don't want to be selling manual. Oh yeah, oh, people. You have a question? Yeah. It's been a good ride. It's been. I must say, about this thing is normal. Now mustn't be this one. You did your quiz today. How was it, Elizabeth? I tried to transform a table with merged cells into a table format, and I realized that the cells were not meshed anymore. Yeah, so when you transform your data into a table, in a table you cannot have merged cells. So that's the primary thing. You can't have merged cells in a table. So it's gonna split them back into their different cells. So merging a cell only works when you don't have the data area formatted as a table. So it's think about it this way. It's more like saying that you have on the floor, right, Kusivi, on the floor of your sitting room, you are laid a carpet, okay, and then you now decided that you want to now tile the floor. So laying the carpet, if you tile the floor over that carpet, it's gonna pieces the carpet. If you understand what I mean. So that's how it is. So it's more like saying that the formatting your data as a table will take over whatever formatting existed in terms of merging cells. So that's what has happened. So the two will not coexist. They are independent or they are mutually exclusive. Who knows how I'm supposed to join? I'm personally grateful. With no prior knowledge of Excel, I have learned a great deal. I find it difficult to learn virtually, but this seems different. And thank you for Lashade. How can we generate KPIs from our data dashboard? So the idea of KPI is simple. So KPI is key performance indicator. What does key performance indicator mean? It means those things that are important for you as a business to track. So if you're in the e-commerce business, for example, you want to track the number of customers that are coming into your store per day. That would be a KPI for you. You want to track your revenue. That would be a KPI for you. You want to if you're doing marketing campaigns, you want to track the conversion rate. That's a KPI for you. So the idea of KPI is what is important for you to track. So it's not something different from what you have done. It's just how you display it. So those numbers that are more important for you to track in the when we talk about storytelling, those are the numbers that you start with, and whatever attributes that relates to those numbers, the details of those numbers will come somewhere below. So that way you are able to guide the users, the consumer of your report in a way that they sequentially go from what is more important to what is less important, Jessica. Please, this is my first time in class. How can I get access to first time in class? You are welcome. Uh, for me, it wasn't easy. Okay, thank you, Fagbemi. Where are you staying in Lagos? It's no, don't let me tell you. As you refuse to give me your contact, I would love to know more about data analysis. You are ready to pay. The Incubator Hub has a lot of classes actually, so you can just be on the lookout. How can we advance this as a DA with a company? Are they the ones to give you the KPIs? What are the common modeling mistakes that lead to incorrect results in Power Pivot? Excellent questions. If you're a data analyst for working with an organization, would they give you KPIs? So it depends. It's not a one way street. And what I mean is this: if you're fortunate to have a manager that wants to handhold you, especially if the manager is aware that this is maybe you're new in the industry, maybe this is your first role, so you don't know what runs in the industry. They might give you details of what should be on the report. But in another situation, you might not get that. So it's upon you to research about the industry you work in. For example, you get a job with Total. So you get a job with Total. Total is in the oil and gas industry. So you need to research about oil and gas to understand what are the key metrics that they track in the business. If you join a company like Promasido is in FMCG, you need to understand what they track in FMCG. So that's how you build KPIs. And one thing I tell people, especially if you want to really excel in data analysis, is you cannot shy away from learning really deep about the business of the industry. So if you find yourself in the fintech, you must understand the business of fintech. How does fintech make money? How do they lose money? Because if you don't understand how they make money, you cannot track what would impact their revenue properly. If you don't understand how they lose their market share, how they can run out of the market, you wouldn't be able to give them some analysis that makes sense. So first thing for you promise is whatever industry you find yourself in, try to understand the business of that industry. Who are the top players in the industry? How do they make money in the industry? How do they lose money? What causes market crash? What are the things that increases market share? How can what are the things that the top guys in the industry, what are they doing differently? So those are things that you need to find out first. Also is what are modeling mistakes. Modeling mistakes, number one is whenever you model your data, bear in mind there are two types of table you would have. You have what is called a facts table, you have a dimension table. Number one is that your dimension table must not have duplicates. Because think about it, your dimension table is a table of attributes. It only holds information about certain things in the business. For example, you have a customer's table. A customer is expected to appear on the customer's table once. So it's more like you have a class register. In a class register, a student must not appear twice. If a student appears twice, it gives the teacher trouble because the teacher would have called the name somewhere at the top while trying to mark attendance, and then again below the teacher is wondering what's going on here. So the idea of a dimension table is every single thing that you're describing in the dimension table must appear just once. So when that happens, then you will be able to manage the cardinality in the report. So cardinality, the idea of cardinality is that it's what defines the kind of relationship that exists between the dimension table and the fact table. So normally there are a few kinds. So you can have one to one, you can have one to many, you can have many to many. Those are the three types. For those of you that are coming from some mathematics background, for the mathematics background, you understand this from the elementary mapping and functions that you learned in further mathematics. So, but when we say one to many, it just means that a father can give birth to many children. That's what it means. So, which is a case of you have a customer in the dimension table, the customer might have transacted with you a couple of times. So that's why the customer would appear on the dimension table once, one, and the customer can fax table multiple times because a single customer can do many transactions with you. So just number one, ensure that your dimension tables do not have duplicates. Number two is that you need to ensure that you avoid many to many relationship to the best of what you can. Although Power Pivot normally will not allow you to do many to many, Power Pivot will not allow you to do that, so which makes sense. But when you get to Power BI, sometimes you're modeling your data, you're tempted, you see that between a dimension table and a facts table, the relationship is many to many. This happens in some advanced cases, depending on how the data is in that industry. It happens a lot in FMCG because the data in FMCG is a bit complicated. So there's a way around it. So you can have a bridge table, but those are some technicalities you may not need for now. But just hold on to some of what I've said. If blanks occur in a data set, how can you resolve it? Number one is why do you have blank? You need to find out. So if you find out why you have blank, is it a case of, for example, you run a transaction and then the customer has the option to use a promo code and the customer did not use promo code, it means that the portion of the promo code will be blank in the data set. So that will not cause you any harm. But if the blank has to do with the transaction value missing or the name of the customer missing or some key details, that might cause you an issue. So you have to investigate. If it's a case where you got the data from somebody, you need to trace back. If it's a case where you downloaded this data from a system, you need to trace back to see that maybe there was a field that you did not check, so that was not brought in. First thing is you have to find out. So it's not automatic for you to say that you want to remove or you want to replace. As a matter of fact, in real life scenarios, except for those that are in data science, in data analysis, you don't replace values. Okay, that's from my experience. So you don't replace value. If it's missing and you're sure that it's missing, so it's missing. Okay. So the what you will learn in data science that you say that you replace the value with the average with this. That exists in data science because you want to do some level of extrapolation. So, but for core data analysis, you want to analyze what you have. You don't cook up data. Hold on to that. You don't cook up data. Uh okay. Let me see. I'm trying to pick the questions sequentially. KPI specific to that industry is KPIs are different per industry. So the KPIs in FMCG is different from hospitality, is different from fintech. So the idea is just what are the things that are important for them as a business. That's what KPIs means. And KPIs can also differ within the same organization to say that the KPIs that the salespeople will be interested in is different from the KPIs that some HR will be interested in. HR is not interested in you building a dashboard for them that will be tracking revenue. It doesn't make any sense to them. So what matters to them is they want to know the count of employees, attrition rate. They want to know training budget, how they're spending it. So KPIs just mean what is important to the entity that you're talking to, Vic. How can one recognize clean data? So when we say data is clean, there are a couple of attributes that it will have. Number one, the data will not have double heading. It must have one row of heading. It means that there is nothing above the heading. Number two is that the data will not have empty rows. Number three, it will not have empty columns. Number four, within the data itself, you will not have subtotals or you have total somewhere below. No, you will not have those with the data itself. Number five is that every single date that you have in the data, they will sit inside the same column. They will not be scattered across different columns. Number six is that you will not have whatever is not necessary around the data. So you have the data going from column A to J, then on column K, you now have some comments there. That will not be clean data. You have to get rid of that comment. And the is that you will not have every single data would have its own unique column, something like that. So just the set of things that I've mentioned, jot it somewhere. So those are the things that would tell you what clean data is. So any data set that you are looking at that violates any of these things that I've mentioned, it means that that data is dirty and you have to clean it. How can I get access to which area of analysis is more suitable to use in Excel? There's no area that's not that Excel cannot do. Can you show little way to use Power Query? No, you do Power Query in Power BI. Don't worry. So just hold off on that. In the third class, how do we get the second, third highest score using multiple conditions since there's nothing like or small if? So the same idea, the same way that we did for, if you remember how we got the how we got the third maximum, sorry, how we got the maximum with conditions for those that do not have max ifs. If you remember that, Omar. So where I combined the max with the if condition, the same thing is what you're going to do here. So you do the large combined with the if condition. So you run an if over the data first to get what will meet the criteria, and then you now run a large over it. If you understand what I mean. Those of us that have been behind due to certain issue beyond our control, how do we cover up lost ground? You watch recording. Uh, I should tell you how I got my first job. So story. Um, so what I would call my first job? What I would call my first job. So I had a job in 20. Yeah, I've been doing different things, but my first data role was sometime 2020. So I like that's like the real corporate thing. So I had a trading with a non-profit organization. So they do some graduate advancement programs. So I joined them, and then that translated into an internship for me because as part of the training, we were asked to fill a form to show our interests, what area we would like to pursue a career in. So then I think I just selected analysis or operations management because at the time, although I studied mechanical engineering in school, but I already zeroed my mind I was not going to practice. And so since then I've been exploring a couple of options. At the time I was doing software engineering. I had a training with Andela. I went for NYC. I didn't go with my laptop, so I made a lot of deadlines. I got out of that, and then I started data analysis sort of. So I did a lot of self learning actually, self learning. So I didn't sit in a class, a paid bit bootcamp or a bootcamp like this to learn data analysis. I did lots of self learning, but I was fortunate to have some very good mentors along the line. But the point is, so the nonprofit, the programs coordinator at the time, he just called me a day that he wanted to offer me an internship with him. So because they used to have a lot of workshops. They had data that they gathered, but no one was really looking at it, or it was tedious for him to look at it. And at the time, I had learned some Excel. At least I could do some pivot tables at the time. So I took it. I was offered. I think it was supposed to pay me 15,000 naira in 2019, 2020. Was supposed to pay me 15,000 naira, and the internship was supposed to be for 2 months. So I worked first month, it paid. Second month, I think I did like half of the month. It was close to festivities, and so there was not too much work like that. So I wasn't paid for the second month. I wasn't paid, but I did the work. But what I realized at the time was that while I worked with a guy for the first month, I worked remotely, so I wasn't in Ibadan. But again, at the time, there were times that would give me things to do, even though I knew some tiny Excel at the time, I would still struggle with something, struggle a lot. And after the analysis, I was meant to write reports. So report writing was not my thing. I struggled a lot, and it's not the era of AI, so you need to put your heads together to really so that you're able to put together something concrete. So I used to. There were times I would be on his work till like 9 p.m. late in the night because I really just wanted to send the reports to him. It looks like the guy was impressed. He saw all of my effort, and so someday he just called me that there was an opening with a firm in Lagos who wanted to hire for an analyst. And then he thought that maybe I should push for it. So the first thing he asked me was, so I asked him if the role was going to be remote. He said no. I said I don't have anywhere to stay in Lagos. So he said, I just told him that okay, then that he should hold on, that I wouldn't want to just let it go. I would like to make some calls. So I made some calls. It looks like I'll be able to get somewhere to stay. Then I just told him to push. So he pushed my CV. The next day, the HR called me. We spoke. Uh, we spoke at length over the phone. And then she scheduled an interview with the operations manager. I met with her. Then the third stage was for me to come to Lagos to meet the team lead. It was a technical interview. I met the team lead, a very excellent guy. You will know him, Adewale Yusuf. So I met him, and yeah, I was offered the role. So at the time, it looked like it was quite a lot easier than it is today. Not many a lot of people were doing it then too, but if you if you if you stand out a bit at the time, you'll get a lot of opportunity. And that's why I tell people that regardless of how saturated any space is today, just ensure that whatever you know it well. Whatever you know, kill it with confidence. That's all. So you cannot fully understand any space before you get in. That's the bottom line. So if anyone tells you that this you want to pursue a career in data analysis, you must know it A to Z before you start applying for jobs, it's a lie. Even till today, I was in the office today. I was doing some things. I got stuck too. So I had to ask the oracle, yeah, Cloud AI. So I asked Cloud AI, this is what I'm trying to do. What do you think? The guy suggested something, but again, because I knew what I wanted, some things that the guy suggested already, I told the guy back that guy, this thing will go work. So this is what I want to achieve. Give me all of the options that are in your head. So, but the point I'm making here is that whatever you know it well. Whatever you know, kill it with confidence when you have to talk about it. But don't overbrag. Don't say what you don't know. All of or most of the interviews I've attended in my life, there would at some point be questions that they will ask me that I don't know. I've got not too much idea about. I'm always open to tell them that this I don't know too much about it. And for the most part of it, it never came back at me. I will still get that job. So yeah, that was how I got my first job. For some of us that didn't start large function, when practicing the switch function with it, I ended up writing over 12 conditions, which was too long. Can this be shortened when there are a lot of conditions? So when you're writing switch, though, um, so the idea about writing conditions, it's more about thinking through. So when you write conditions or you write any calculation, it depends on how you think you think it through. So if we are three that we want to write the same thing, we will write it differently because our thought process around it will be different. So what you need to challenge yourself with is you've thought about it in a way. You might talk to somebody who is not an Excel person, not a data person, that this is what you want to do. They should tell you how to go about the conditioning, but it should be someone that can do some critical thinking. So when you do that with them, they might explain it in a way that will make whatever conditions you have written to be shorter. Because the idea is that at the end of the day, there might be a few conditions that actually can be blanket of one another, and so you don't have to expressly mention them in all of your conditions, if you understand it. And at the time, all of the conditions might have been written, and there are some three conditions that you can just blanket as one and put in the else condition or default condition. But again, it's shortening whatever conditions function that you're writing. It just largely with how you think through the process. What should I major in if I want to become a database administrator? For as a database administrator, essentially what you need to know are databases. So you need to be very grounded in databases, especially relational databases. So you would not restrict yourself to the traditional SQL. You want to understand MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle SQL, and the likes of those. But more importantly, for you as a DB administrator, it's not about writing the queries. You need to know beyond that. You need to know how to configure all of the different applications that are behind, how to set access controls, how to restrict access to data, how to restrict views to data, and all of the related security features. So, but essentially, is your job will be around SQL. You probably may not have to do a lot with Excel or Power BI. It might just be 10% of your work, if at all, but a lot of your work will be around getting to understand the different databases, how they connect together, and maybe understanding the basis of programming because you might have to work with software engineers quite a bit. For clarity, is it possible? Um, Sorry, seem to be quite a lot of questions. For clarity, is it possible to meet up with this course for the first time as a beginner, or someone needs to redo the course again to? So, point is, the more you watch something, the better you get. The better you get. So at every instance that you watch a course, you will pick something new. That's how it is. And that's why one of the things I advocate for is for you to get one good course and watch it 10 times than buy 10 courses and watch them all once. So that will serve you right. As warehouse manager, which area do you advise me to concentrate on in data analysis? Pay attention to data entry, know data entry properly, how you can do data validation so that you don't have too much wrong entries, and just know basic of analysis. So I think that will suffice you. What are the things to take note of when you have many to many cardinality? Are there any implications? I explained this quite a bit before now. So first is many to many is not good for you. Many to many is not good for you. If I get hold of any data model and I see many to many there, it makes me feel like you don't know what you're doing. That's how I feel about it. So because the problem with many to many relationship is that at the end of the day, your numbers will be difficult to validate. It's more like saying that you have a child that was given birth to by two fathers, and the two fathers they have two children each as well. So it's difficult to explain who bet what child. So it's difficult to explain. So a couple of ways, but the most common one is to use bridge tables in Power BI. You create a bridge table that would have unique keys from both tables, and so you put that in the middle and you pass your filter through that particular table. So that will streamline the keys in between before the data flows into the other side of the table. Secondly, some people you don't connect the table and then you use the cross filter direction in DAX to cross filter function in DAX to manage the relationship and stuff. So, but that's the idea. Um, as a food science graduate interested in working in FMCG, from your experience, that how do I incorporate data analysis? There are a lot of ways, a lot of ways, a lot of ways. So, as a food science graduate, maybe you're working in quality assurance. So if you're working in quality assurance, you will have to deal with a lot of data, because for you to do anything related to quality, what that means is that you'll be taking data about your raw materials at different stages, and what that would translate to is you should be able to analyze them over a time to say that, okay, fine, for this product, as we move it over the different stages in production, this is how the percentage quality has been over time. So if you're exploring an area like that in FMCG quality assurance, data analysis will be a valuable skills for you, so that you can use that to look at whatever data you are gathering in that process. My Excel version does not have XLOOKUP, so I've been trying to use index and match, but keeps getting any error. You didn't understand how to use index and match properly, so please go to watch that section. What are the things to take note of when you have, if my Excel doesn't have power pivots, can you use relationship function for data modeling? There's no relationship function. So if you're using Excel below, if you're using Excel below 2013 or 2013 and below, you would have to download Power Pivot as an add-in. Excuse me. So you have to download Power Pivot as an add-in. So go to Google, type download Power Pivot add-in. So you download it, you install it, and then just go to YouTube, watch a video on how to bring it into Excel. It's a very simple process, but you just work that maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. That would resolve it, and then you're able to integrate Power Pivot into it. So it's from 2016 and above, if I remember well. That's when Power Pivot became native into Excel itself. So Power Query and Power Pivot used to be add-ins that you have to download separately. For those of us that don't have Maxivan, what other function can we get? We talked about it in the class. So what's the alternative for using SUMIF, since my Excel version doesn't have SUMIF? The same thing, the same way we approached the situation for those that don't have maxif and minifs. That's the same thing you're going to do. How can we calculate year over year growth from the data set we used to build reports yesterday? You need to write DAX. So first is, with DAX you can get the current year sales. With DAX, you can also get the last year sales. So if you want to get the last year sales, you need to use the calculate function over the current year, and then you ask it to now shift the filter to the previous year. So that's pretty straightforward with DAX. But again, it's so that's the idea around that. So you need to write DAX for you to, if you want to do it in native Excel, it's gonna take it straight from you. So just do it with DAX. As a data analyst, at what point are you supposed to replace missing values with the mean? I don't think there's any time you are supposed to, because if the data is not there, there is nothing to report on. The baseline is, you don't cook up data. That's the baseline. So the reason why it makes sense for a data scientist to do that is, at the end of the day, wants to build a model that would predict certain things over the data. So that's why it needs the data to be complete, and it needs the data to follow in a certain pattern. As a data analyst, you don't need to panel beat your data. You are not a mechanic. So whatever data is missing, leave it as missing. Report on what you have. So that's the idea. Um, Concerning the product sheet in this, since it has a primary key, how can I create a key in the other sheet so you can create a key. I was the one that forgot to include a key. You can't. No, not Adewale Yusuf of our school. So this is a different Adewale Yusuf. So he's no longer in the country. He now works with Avanad. No, he now works with Accenture in Dublin. So please, can we solve real question? I need a guide on how to visualize multiple choice questions and questions with ranking in preference. Not sure I understand this. Um, I don't even know where I start with the questions. What are the things we should expect when a client wants to send a data, and how do we start? You start now. What are the things we will expect? First is, just pay attention to the format the data will come in. So if the data comes in as CSV or Excel, it's pretty direct. If they're sending a text file to you, they're sending a JSON data to you, they'll need Power Query to first do some cleaning before you'll be able to start analyzing. But don't fret. So The idea is to get the data first in the right shape before you start analyzing. How can I get access to buy one course? Uh, which function can be used for analyzing a bank statement? It depends on what you want to do. It depends. So it's not a blanket thing to say that because you want to analyze blank statement, what functions are you to use? So Excel has some finance related function. You have the PMT, you have the PR, you have the MPAR. There are a number of finance functions really that are there. So it depends on what you really want to get. As a facility manager, what area can one focus in Excel? So it's similar to what I said to the warehouse manager person. It's similar. So as a facility manager, maybe at the end of the day, maybe you have some of your guys, some of your clients, maybe you have them fill a survey. So whatever data is from the survey is what you'll be analyzing. So you need to first have a structured way of getting them to fill the survey. Maybe you are creating a Google form, which will be free. If you have some money, you can do Microsoft Forms, and then the data from the form is what you plug into your Excel and you analyze it. So that's the idea. But just ensure that you have a structured way of getting the data. Otherwise, you do a lot of data cleaning, because if you have something like, for example, you have um, you have a question there that's asking them for how satisfied they are, and you're asking them to type. Someone is now typing 100%. Someone typed 100%. Someone typed very satisfied. Someone typed he just did. Someone typed it be like something. How do you want to analyze those? So you put yourself in a lot of trouble. So just have it structured nicely, properly, so that you won't have to analyze data for the rest of the year. We should learn basic knowledge on data. As a salesperson, which area are my concentration? Sales analysis is cool. Sales analysis. So just know Excel well. Know Excel well. If you find yourself in any company, they hire you as a sales analyst, more like it, you'll be using Excel. So know Excel well. Thank you. After mastering this present teaching to a large extent, what's next? I would like to go into data analysis fully. Just hold on. Continue with your Power BI class. Okay. As a billing officer in an HR organization, how can I use data analysis to solve and keep record of resources and financial impact? Billing officer in an HR, how can I use data analysis to solve and keep record? First is, you can use data analysis to keep record. The record needs to have been kept before you analyze. So the idea of analysis, you want to analyze what exists. So if you have not kept the record, you cannot analyze. So keep record properly first, and then you start looking at it by way of implementing those things that you've learned. If I want to write a condition that states greater than 100 and less than 200, how do I write the condition using switch? For example, should I write it directly as condition given in the table? E68 equals tech minus, no. So remember the point where we talked about the and the or function. So it's the and function that you use to combine this case. So this two that you want to put together. So you write the and function and you specify each condition as a component of the and function. Um, as a billing officer, okay. After mastering all we have learned so far, what else is expected for us in order for us to become? Continue with the Power BI class. Pay attention to it. Your Power BI will also run over 4 weeks. Ensure that you pay attention to it, you know it well. And after that, you may want to learn some SQL as well. So you understand some databases, database query language, and stuff. That's essentially what I think you need. Some people will tell you to go learn Python, but I don't believe you need that as a beginner. It might just be too much of a icing on the cake. Can Excel be used to create the forms we fill online? Excel can do more than what you think. Excel can do more than what you think. People use Excel to create games. So you know how crazy some crazy stuff that people do with Excel. Some people use Excel to create ERPs applications. So you don't underestimate Excel. Excel can do lots of stuff. Um, so it just depends on your imagination and how much you want to stretch yourself. What is the round between function used for? It is used to generate random numbers. So round between will ask you for the lower bound and the upper bound, and it just gives you a number in between. The LinkedIn link, it's there. Just search my name the way you see it on the call. Musin H. You see on LinkedIn. Um, which site can I get more Excel data set to practice with? Go to kaggle.com. KAGGLE.com. How can I analyze university projects? That's more of statistical analysis, but you can do it with Excel too. So you can watch a few videos online. So part of the things you will need is you will need to do some level of correlation that will back your hypothesis testing. And so there are a bit of nuances to it, but there's a Corel function in Excel. There are some for your confidence interval, confidence level, there are a few functions that are related as well. So just some quick search online would allow you to do that. Can we create a special code or function in Excel? Special code, what does that mean? Can we reach out to you when we for advice? Yes, you may reach out on LinkedIn. I will try my best to respond when I'm able to. How do I know if data is clean or not? We've talked about it. What can a data analyst do for a travel organization to analyze that data? Is there any woman or lady staying inside? After visualizing in Excel, in what mode can one present it to the stakeholder? Can it be linked to PowerPoint? Excellent question. So there, yes, you can link it to PowerPoint. So Excel, so what you do is when you're done with all of your charts in Excel, you copy the chart, then you paste it in PowerPoint. And when you want to paste it, you have an option. So you can either paste as picture, or you paste embedded, or you link. So what you should typically do is to link. So when you paste embedded, it will blow out your PowerPoint size because the actual data behind that particular visual would also come into PowerPoint. You will not see it, but there's a way to get it out. So don't do embedded. If you paste as picture, you will cut it off. The link will be cut off from the Excel. So it's more like you have disconnected your Excel from the PowerPoint. But when you paste as link, Excel is still connected to PowerPoint. So whatever changes on your Excel will flow automatically into your PowerPoint. But this is only available if you're using the paid version of Microsoft Office. Is this our last class with you? Well, it's possible, but let's see what could happen. But one of my bosses will start again with you next week with Power BI first. Uh, I'm not sure if he's already with us. If he has some time, he's gonna join this call before we close, so you can hear him a bit. What's the difference between using Control E and Control D? Control E is for flash fill. Control D is to copy down the formula. What is the work of data analysis? Data analysis in a medical setting is to analyze the data they are generating essentially. So in healthcare, there are a lot of data they generate around patient, around test, around diagnosis, whatever. Then the data analyst will be the one to analyze the data. But it makes sense that anyone that will work there will have some domain knowledge. Maybe you did something related to medicals, that would make you add a lot of value. In an email address that has a combined names, and I need to extract a name in between before the at, what function is easy to use? So Excel has some new functions that have been released. The regex function. So you have the regex extract, regex extract. So if you don't have an updated Excel, you don't have that function. So you can explore that function to do some complex extraction like that. So you need to be able to get a regex pattern. So, but again, that's why you have some AI tools today. You can just feed it with one of the email address to tell you and tell it what you want to extract, and tell it to give you the regex expression, the regular expression to use. So it gives you that, and then you feed that into the regex extract, and then you get your results. I think there's now a new syntax in Excel called Copilot. Well, Copilot is not a new syntax. Copilot is more like, so it's an AI tool. So the same way that Google has Gemini, that OpenAI, they have the ChatGPT, Cloud AI, they have the Cloud AI platform. That's the same way Microsoft has their Copilot. So Copilot is the AI platform for Microsoft. Copilot is not only in Excel, it's across all Microsoft products. So you have Copilot in Power BI as well. So that's an AI part of it. The Copilot is not as reliable. I hope Microsoft will not come for me after this video. It's not as reliable. It's still work in progress. At least not as much as the some of the other tools in the market. But again, it's a tool that can guide you in some things. But I would say that you should not be overly reliant at this time on the AI tools. If you do too much of that, you may not be able to retain whatever knowledge you have, so which will be disastrous. So you should only result. I think that maybe what you should do more is to try to be part of some communities, so that when you're stuck, you ask questions there and people tell you real answers, and you're not asking AI. So that in a way, whatever explanation someone will give to you, it's not robotic. They are talking from experience, and that will guide how you. That will shape your own experience as well. As a statistician, what do I really need? You need data. Yeah, so it depends on what you want to do. So that's to open a question. Ideally, with a data set that requires frequent updating, usually extracted from the various tracker, how do I update my data set and make it reflect on my analysis? There are a couple of ways. Quick way for you, if you know some Excel, create a sheet in Excel, be putting your data there, convert it into a table, and from there that's where all of your reports should be feeding from. So when you get new records, just update it on that same worksheet. There are other ways, but you need to know some Power Query to be able to use them. How can you create a Microsoft School account? Please check YouTube. Control E is um, what do I need as an accountant? That's not a question really. What do you need as an accountant to do what? Do you have any link for internship? No, I don't. Uh, you use 365 family, but you can't. No, Power BI has a separate license. You must pay. Microsoft knows what they are doing. So when you do M365 family, you only have access to Microsoft Office. So it gives you access to Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. I think. Yeah, maybe that's all you're getting. So if you want to use Power BI, you pay $14 every single month. What steps should I take to prepare a financial report for building project execution? What steps should I take to prepare a financial report? It depends on the data you have already. And by the way, I'm not a financial analyst, so I may not be able to give you the specifics. So and I don't do project finance. So you might want to talk to someone in that line. As an economist and also business person, which area do you advise me to focus on? It really just depends on what you want to do. Again, so for this, as much as possible, I try not to give blanket information so that someone doesn't take it hook, line, and sinker, and it comes back to haunt them. No, so that's too vague a question. So what I would rather say is that you need to first explore properly where your interest is. You studying economics does not mean that your interest will be in data analysis. It might be elsewhere. So those are things that you might want to consider first before you make a decision. What do this function use for? Transpose? Transpose is to turn the table around. So your columns become rows, your rows becomes column. Is this knowledge enough to get a remote work, or must one be Microsoft certified before? Well, it all depends. It all depends. So, but my honest advice to you as a starter is don't be fixated on working remotely. You may be losing out on a lot of opportunities. I saw a job advert, and part of the requirement is proficiency in using R and other statistical functions. Yeah, it depends on the industry you're applying to. So if you're applying to the academic industry or healthcare, they use a lot of R and they do a lot of statistical analysis. So if that's the industry you want to work with, you may want to explore some of these tools. You may want to learn R. Once you learn R, in between R, you will learn some statistical analysis. So it's not really something you learn separately. What steps should I? Yeah, I think I've covered all of the questions that are available for now. Let me see if there are a few other questions or we just. How can I copy the file sent to WhatsApp for assignments to Excel? I don't understand. Can you suggest or do you know a good data analysis networking platform that has experts that one can ask questions when stuck? I know one, but it's filled. So maybe your prayer is that someone should leave the group. What's R? R is a programming language, the same way you have Python. But R is primarily for statistical analysis. They use it a lot for statistical analysis, but you can do data analysis with it as well. What is detail on LinkedIn? What does that mean? Which communities can one join for data analysis in order to ask questions and get real answers when we are stuck while working on? Uh, well, there might be a few others, but maybe not having the like the person that asks about networking. Can send me a message on LinkedIn. Maybe I will be able to find one to point you to. And again, you should also follow Incubator Hub on LinkedIn. I believe there are some posts that would also benefit you in that regard. What level is it possible for me to reach in data analysis as an accountant? However you dream, however you dream. So it depends on what you want to do. So beyond accounting, you want to go into financial analysis, you want to go into FP&A, whatever line you want to follow. Those ones will need you to be a bit grounded in data analysis. How do you copy and paste in Excel? Control C, Control V. Are there any more questions? As a lawyer, how do you make use of this training in real world? That might be a bit tough for me to answer because I really don't know understand what your day to day looks like. But my guess will be that I know you go to court, but I don't know what you do there. And those of you that you are at the chambers, I don't know what your day to day looks like, so it might be difficult for me to give an idea of areas you could explore. But if you do any bits that has to do with you gathering data, then that's an opportunity for you. Name on LinkedIn is the same way you see on here. The way I write my name, Musin H. That's what you should look for on LinkedIn. Any more questions? Handling of various criminal cases such as murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, and also preparing of legal advice. So when you say you handle cases, maybe you're filing, maybe you're not necessarily working with data. But one thing I could say is that for whatever case you work on, try to track them by way of you create a spreadsheet, and then within the spreadsheet every single case that you track, for example, you create columns like maybe you have I'm guessing you might have case numbers. I'm guessing you might have the name of the offenders. You might have the name of the lawyers in charge. You might have the courts that's is hearing the case. You might have the judge around the case. You might have the cost, how much the client is paying you, all of the details about each case, enter it into Excel. Eventually, it will grow into something that we can now begin to look at to say that, okay, last year we had this total number of cases. 50% of it were around murder. 30% of it were around kidnapping, and we made a lot of money on kidnapping related cases. Maybe that should be areas that we look at, if you understand what I mean. Can we get this? What's the best way to generate recommendations without using AI? Is to think about what you have done. That's the best way. If you think through it properly, you will see the areas of issues. Oh, I didn't plug my system. So you see where the issues are, and you'll be able to advise accordingly. Uh, yeah, date of hearing. What is your employer expecting from you is to analyze the data now, so that they are not paying you in vain. I'm not working outside Nigeria. I work in Nigeria. So when you want to search, you do MUHSIN. That's Mohsin space H. That's what you should search for. That would list my profile. So I should research on job aspects I want to focus on, like FMCG, pharma, build myself. Won't that be a limitation by staying in one area? It just depends. Yeah. So sometimes it makes sense to focus, because eventually when you get in, you will have a lot of domain knowledge. But at the same time, even when those are your areas of interest, it doesn't mean that you should close your eyes to some other opportunities. Business intelligence, can you explain? I believe we talked about it in the first class, so please go watch. More questions? Okay. So while I wait for more questions from you, I want to I would like to have on board my Oga, who is currently with us in the studio. He would be starting the Power BI session with you on Monday. He's my senior person. He has a lot of experience in this space. And then you know the way things are, yeah. So it's the young guy that you want to push forward to start in case he makes mistakes. The other ones will come after to come and correct those mistakes. So that's the plan. So I have the honor to present to you to have with us here tonight, my Oga Uncle Abiodun. Abiodun, are you here? Could you unmute, please? Tolulope, in case Abiodun is not live yet, could you please bring him on board so he could have some word with us? Someone asked about dynamic sentence generator. Yes, I answered it in that when the person asked. I answered it then. So there was a case there on the file that I gave to you. So I answered it then. My name on LinkedIn, I've talked about it a couple of times now. Which aspects has more job prospects? All. There is none that does not have. Abiodun, please feel free to come up once you've been brought on the show. As a virtual assistant, what area can we consider in data analysis? Be very grounded with data entry first. Know data entry well. So when you know that well, you know all of the how to deal with the nuances around it, then you can scale up. What difference between a data analyst and a business analyst? They are pretty intertwined, but if it's a structured environment, business analysts will work more about requirement gathering. They will talk to stakeholders, gather requirements. They will put it in a structured format that will guide the data analyst on what to do. So a lot of the times, the work of the business analyst will precede that of a data analyst in a structured environment. But if it's a startup environment, it's a or a not so formalized environment, a single person might be doing both work. After cleaning the data and doing the visuals, how can we bring it to writing? You write. As a waste manager, what are the attributes I need in a data set to aid my analysis? What are the attributes you need in a data set? I'm not sure I understand. What's different between sales analysis and business analysis? They are different. So I've explained business analysis. So sales analysis is like a niched down data analysis. So data analysis is more broad, and data analysis is what gives birth to the more specialized areas like operations analysis, sales analysis, logistics analysis, healthcare analysis. See all of those as the more specialized roles in data analysis, which is asking for a lot more domain knowledge. So if you want to work as a sales analyst, you should have, ideally, they will expect you to have some sales experience. So if you've never sold something before, you've never assumed a sales role before, it might, except in some rare cases, it might be difficult for you to get a sales analyst role. Yeah, Biodun, are you live now? For some reasons, I don't even know if I'm gonna hear
Hi,
if
Mosin.
Abiodun speaks.
You
How
should be
does
able
that
to hear me
work,
now.
Tolu?
Can you
Will
hear
I
me?
hear him? I think so, right?
Hello. Hi, Mosin. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, senior man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Welcome,
I
sir.
just came up on stage now. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good evening to everybody in the house. Good evening from this side to wherever you are. It's nice to be on the call. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abiodun. So, you probably from the voice you already know that Abiodun is my boss. You know my own voice is not as cool. Abiodun is my boss. We've been together for some time, and yeah, don't worry, don't worry. Whatever you think you've learned from me, you will learn a lot more from Abiodun, a lot and a lot more. And for whatever mistakes I've made, just push them to Abiodun. He will correct all of them. So thanks a lot, Abiodun. So Abiodun would be with you from next week, Monday, by God's grace. So you start your Power BI conversation. I know that for in the past, some of you have reached out to me on LinkedIn asking about some things related to Power BI, and what I've done so well was to push all of those questions to say that when you get to the Power BI phase, you would learn them, you will learn about them. So the level of participation that you've maintained so far, please let's do have that with Abiodun as well. I'm sure you'll have a great time with him. I'm very sure of that. So Abiori, it looks like we have a mixed class. We have some beginners and we have some intermediate people. A lot of the questions tonight have been around starting out their career in this space. Someone asked me to share how I started mine. I don't know if you would like to share how your career started as well. What getting your first job looked like.
Okay. Yeah, I could share that. I could share that. Yeah. Since we are all here to learn. I started my career very recently. I mean, not so far. All right. Sometimes around. Okay, so I started my career as a business analyst. All right. My first role was a business analyst, and I worked in that space for some years. And but while on the job role, it was a fintech company somewhere in VI. I had a CFO, the finance guy who is all about numbers. And the guy had some form of interest in me as a business analyst, and then he also found out that I had a background in physics. I studied physics with electronics at the undergraduate level, and so he pushed me to be more analytical, even as a business analyst, right? So he was the guy that introduced me to Microsoft's Power BI for data analysis and all of that, right? Far back some years ago. I didn't really take it serious, right? But I had a keen interest, and so I was literally learning just very slowly. But I was self-taught. Okay, so I think that's one thing I need to also mention. And I'm also still learning. Right, so I was self-taught, and up until COVID 2020, yeah. So up until COVID, and that was where the work from home thing it became a thing for most organizations. Everybody had to go back home because of the lockdown. And a friend of mine, we were on a call together one evening having just a session online. She was learning Power BI also, but because I had a little bit of experience, she needed my help to walk her through some things around the application, right? So while we're having that, it was a Zoom meeting, and then I shared the link to one of my friends who was not in Lagos as at that time. And what this guy did was he just took that link that I shared with him, and then he took it on Twitter, and then just pasted it on Twitter and was like, "So my guy is teaching Power BI for free. If you available and you want to learn, just join this Zoom link." And I mean, all of a sudden, I just started seeing different people, strangers entering meeting. I was like, okay, what's going on? Then he dropped the chat for me on WhatsApp and said, okay, you know what? I shared the link you sent to me on Twitter, and in case you see people joining and all that. So it was, I mean, I just had to continue with the session I was having with the lady, and it was actually I was getting some very nice feedback. Um, and by the time we ended the meeting, then my friend and I had jumped on a call and then was like, you know what, we can actually just set up a training session for people to learn since most people are working from home, most people are stuck at home. So we tagged it stuck at home, learn from home. And then we had like 5 days training session on Power BI. Now, as at this time, I was literally still new to the application, right? So it was just my little knowledge that I was sharing and teaching and just sharing for folks online and all of that, right? And then we had the first track. Because of the volume of people that registered, we also had like a second track too. So we're running both where we'll do 1 2 hours, we take like a 1 hour break, then we have the second track again, and then we ran it for some period of days. And by the time we're done with that, a friend of mine saw the flyer that we designed then, and it just stuck with him, right? Now down the line, he was the organization where he was working, they needed a data analyst, right? So the guy just pushed my name to them, right? And I got a phone call that day. It was just a normal phone, just like a number calling your phone, and the person introducing himself or herself, and then the next thing they were just asking question on the phone. So it was like an interview as a phone call that I was not even expecting. And then I was being asked some series of questions. I answered the question, and then the person was like, you know what, send me your email address, and HR will send you an interview schedule for you to join the panel session and all that. And then that was it. So I was asked to join the meeting, so I went for the interview. It was online, and then I joined, and then I was drilled. I was drilled, right? And one of the things that also helped me was the fact that because I had started learning, I was also sharing the little knowledge that I had. So there's something about teaching. You also learn more, and then some of the concepts that you've learned along the line they get reinforced through teaching because you are emphasizing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So the tendency for for it to stick and for you not to forget those concepts, right, is actually very high. So that helped me a lot, right? So during the whole interview process, I answered about 80 to 90% of the questions I was being asked, right? There was one particular question they asked me, and then I was like, actually, I don't know the answer to the question. I'm like, okay, that's fine, move on. And we moved on. Now, when we start this course next week, I will tell you what the question is, right? So just to prepare your mind. And so we moved on, and then that was how it was. And at the end of the call, I got the offer, and I started on the job. immediately as a data analyst. Now, remember I said I started as a business analyst. This was now my first role as a data analyst. Now, this is the interesting part. So I started the job in May. I started in May. In 30 days, I had my first professional certification. So I wrote the PO 300 exam. I wrote the exam. Should I share this? Okay, let me share this
Mhm.
just for you to get motivated. So I wrote the exam and I didn't pass the exam, right? The exam then was about $80, Microsoft. And when I saw the results, of course, that was my very first Microsoft exam, right? So I wasn't used to the way the exam system was and all of that. But I mean, I was so shocked that I actually failed the exam because I knew folks that were not analysts, but they wrote the exams and they passed just by studying the questions. So it's one thing to have the theoretical knowledge, it's another thing to have the practical experiential knowledge, right? Which was what I had. But you could pass the exam just by theory, but you won't know jack about the application. In fact, you won't even know how to do your ETL, your modeling, and those basic stuffs, right? So when I saw the results, immediately I saw the result. The next thing I did was I went online and I googled Microsoft retake policy, and I saw that I could retake the exam in 24 hours. You know what I did? The following day, I registered for the exam, and I registered to take it the next day, right? So let's say I wrote on Thursday, I didn't pass. I registered again on Friday to take it on Saturday. So in 48 hours, I retook the exam. Like I didn't even, there was this hunger that how can I feel this thing, right? So I retook the exam and I passed the second time. And then, so in a space of 30 days of getting the job role as a data analyst, I had my certification. In a space of um, 14 days again, I had my MCT certification. So MCT is your Microsoft Certified Trainer, right? So as at that point in time, I'd already started training also. I'd gone traveled across Nigeria for physical training. I'd done virtual training. I'd trained folks in and out of Nigeria. So I could easily get my Microsoft Certified Trainer certificate, right? So and then I got that, and then after that, I wrote one or two other exams, right? So the point was it all started with me just learning by watching videos online, by practicing on my own, by reading materials online, by practicing on my own. And then I started teaching people. And then I got my first interview. I got the job. I wrote an exam. I got more certification. So it was more of a self taught process for me up till now. And I'm still learning from people like your facilitator, Musi, from other people within the community and all of that, right? And I mean, I keep learning every day. So that's basically the story of how I became, how I started working in this space as a data analyst, right? Of course, there's still so much to learn, right? There's so much to learn. And I'm sure that even from this boot camp, I would also learn one or two things from the delegates, the students on the call, right? And we would all be left for the better. So I think that will be a brief introduction. When we start officially on Monday, during the course of the training, I would also get to share more stories because one thing about data analysis is that you are a storyteller. All right, so you tell story with your data, so you also get to hear more stories centered around data analysis and how you can be better as an analyst. So I think I'll just stop here and hand over the mic back to Mosi, unless you have any other questions for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abiodun, for sharing that story with us. But there's an area I would like you to speak to again, and this because someone had asked me the question earlier. I'm not sure, maybe you had not come online at the time. So the question was around the difference between data analysis and business analysis, and it's interesting that you've won both arts at some point. From your experience, what would you say is the practical differences between business analysis and data analysis as it pertains to the actual work done?
All right, thank you very much. So yeah, business analysis and data analysis, they are different and they are also similar. They are similar in the sense that they are both analysts, right? They are both analysts. So for a business analyst or for business analysis, you're more concerned about the business itself. Okay, it's more like a domain expertise where it's all about the business, right? So you handle a lot of things that is centered around the business. There are times where you also have to do a lot of research around the business. There are times where you have to do a lot of things around customer engagement. There are times where you have to stand as a middleman between the stakeholder for a particular business or a venture, and also the technical guys that are building the product and all of that, right? Where you need to gather requirements, you need to build or write business requirement documentation. So for the business analyst, is more centered around the business. That's basically who a business analyst is. So you're going to find yourself interacting with technical experts. You're going to find yourself interacting with business owners and stakeholders. You're going to find yourself interacting with customers, right? You do a lot of relationship management as a business analyst. You're also going to do a lot of research, right? You're going to do a lot of research. For a business analyst, you're also going to be very good at interpreting data that comes from visualization, because as a business analyst you're analyzing business, you are doing market research, you are doing a lot of research and analysis. So you also want to be very good at analyzing or reading or interpreting reports, especially business reports, right? So that you are able to make decisions off it. So for the business analyst, you're focused more on the business side of things, right? So you're focused more on the business side. While for the data analyst, you have more focus on data. All right, you're working more on data. For the data analyst, your major role is taking raw data and turning it into insights. So everything that cuts across converting a raw data into insight or into information, that's what the data analyst does. So things around your ETL, where you learn to extract, transform, and load your data, you model the data, you visualize the data, you build your report and dashboard, and then you also interpret and manage your data assets. So for the data analyst,
I've stopped hearing Abiodun. Is it just me? Can anyone still hear him?
okay,
Okay.
sorry, I had internet connectivity issues, but I think I'm back online now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're back. We can hear you now. Can I hear him again? Yeah, just hold on, people.
Sorry, that's the internet. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry about that. Apologies. So yeah, turning your data into insight, right? We're going to talk about the more details of that when it comments, but that's data into insight. Informed.
Okay. Many thanks to Abiodun for answering that. And I know that so you
Business
have a
decision.
okay. Are you still speaking, Abiodun? I thought you had stopped at the point. Can you hear me, Abiodun?
Yes, I can hear you, Hussein. I can hear you.
Okay, okay, okay. I thought you were still speaking. You're done with the explanation, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
key
yeah.
results.
The explanation. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay, okay. Thanks a lot for that. So, interestingly, this is just a tester session, what would call it. This is just so you have an idea of your facilitator for the next couple of weeks. So be rest assured, whatever other concerns you have. I know that someone wanted to ask a follow up question about the business analysis and data analysis of a thing, but you don't have to rush things, okay? So you have a all 4 weeks to interact with Mabiodun over what it's going to teach you, and if you have some other things you want to clarify, so you can do that over that period. I didn't intend to have him spend this much time actually, because I can imagine how stressful the day had been for him, and so practically he just got home as at the time that he came online. So I didn't intend to. My intention was just to have him come say a word or two with you. Abiodun, thanks so much for for joining us this evening. We really do appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
All right, so people, that's so from next week by God's grace, Abiodun would start the Power BI conversation with you. That does not necessarily translate to you forgetting everything you've done in Excel. If you have the space, what I would naturally advise is that you should try to watch the sessions that you probably missed. If there are areas you need to practice, please do that. Maybe over the weekend from tomorrow, so that you do not have backlog of learnings before the Power BI begins. So Power BI is a new journey on its own. If you struggle with some things in Excel, if you've not recovered on the missed areas in Excel, you might eventually have to drop that completely while you're trying to catch up with Power BI. So that might not serve you right. So what you should do ideally, my opinion, is that the remaining days in the week, please try to use it to ramp up on your Excel properly, so that when you begin Power BI, you're starting Power BI with a fresh mind that is not divided, so you can focus properly. Should we look for Power BI application before next week? I don't think you should stress too much about this yet. Don't worry, when you come around on Monday, whatever you would need, Abiodun will provide that. He will provide that to you. So I'm not sure we have more questions. I will just hang around for a minute or so. If there are no more questions, then we can start the after party, right? People, don't worry. You set it up in the class. Don't worry. Anything else? Anything more from anybody? Okay. So thank you, people. We catch where we catch. See you when we see. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you, Tolu Lokbay. Thank you, Abiodun. Thank you, everyone.